Hello, this is David Baumblatt from Terabant Leadership, and we are going to be talking about episode today. The Iran war is going to fail, MAGA will split, and yes, America is going to collapse. The video hasn't even started, or at least before it started, already one thumbs down. Interesting. Assuming that person's an American citizen, thank you for your support, which is a joke, which now leads me to the question of this. You hear this all the time about we need to come together. I've said this many times. News to Americans, you're going into civil war, you're going into collapse. Why is that? Even a group like military veterans, we don't care about each other. Think about 1% of the American population. If there is a group of people that most civilians would think are loyal to one another, that have each other's back, no way. We don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't really have an issue if Americans don't want to support military veterans, or you don't want to thank us for our service. Trust me, military veterans, we don't support each other either. Don't believe me? Let me just bring this to something. I thought this was pretty interesting here. If you don't believe me, let me bring this down so everyone can see. 1 second. Where is it? Let me 1 second. My bad. I got to share the screen. So anyway, let me do this. I think it's right here. Okay, hopefully everyone can see that screen now. Bring it back. Okay, here we go. This is just one example. This is interesting. So this is on X. This person's name is called Military Support. Now they're pretty, it's a pretty big group right here. I mean, obviously, let's look at it. They've got whatever, 215,000 sort of people, and their absolute moniker is military support. Now, remember, what support am I asking for? Just repost. Meaning, again, I'm a government corruption whistleblower, and I've got very important questions asked. Why is a military veteran not allowed back in America? Like all this stuff. You've heard my story. So the point is not asking for any money, just repost. If there's one person or one entity you would think that would support a military veteran, it would be fellow military veterans, and especially someone says military support. Let's see what this person has to say. So anyway, let me bring it back up here. Hopefully you can see it. So anyway, the person posted something. Hopefully everyone can see. I said, why do you not support military veterans? Because I've been asking this person over and over. And oh, by the way, this person blocked me on X on my prior account. Very confusing. Don't know why. That's pretty interesting. So then he writes back, what now? Like it's like a bother. So what now? So bothersome. What do you want? Yeah, thanks. Thanks there, camaraderie. Most people, let me before I say this, I need to say this now, so that way the truth is out. Most people have never served in the military. Most people have never served in the government. If you served in the military, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There is a huge chunk of Americans serving in our military or government that are absolute shit bags. These people really are socialists. And their number one reason in the government is when it comes to a paycheck and a pension, it is one of the most secure, easy routes. That's what I'm saying. I don't believe in we need to thank military veterans for their service anymore. They're not really serving out. They're doing it for the money. But those military veterans, you know what I'm talking about. This whole thing about the hard charger, the duty honor country, it is filled with absolute socialist shitbags. And when I say this, it was the moniker what he's like, what now? It's like a bother. Doesn't really want to help. Let's go back to this. We'll end this quick. So I said, hopefully everyone, let me make sure everyone can see. Okay, you can see my screen. And I was like, oh no, hopefully everyone can see it. Everyone's looking at this. Okay, good. So everyone's like, well now, please show your support, military veterans, something like that. And then I think I came up here. Let me see if it brings it back. We don't have to go into it, but I said this, ladies and gentlemen, let's see if military support will support a veteran. All you have to do is repost. And the reason I'm saying this, let me bring this down. The reason I'm saying this is very simple. When it goes to how MAGA is going to split, the Iran war is going to fail, because you watch when the military men or women start coming back in body bags, they're going to quit. They didn't sign up for the military to fight and die. Those are older generations. These generations now, it's purely a paycheck and a pension. But it's an interesting thing. So I say again to the American people about we have to come together. We have to come. If you cannot have military veterans come together, not good. And we're going to talk about this guy, Joe Kent. But I want that to because most people, and I'll do more stories about the military, but most civilians have no clue. And they continue to watch these Hollywood movies of the glory days, I guess. And there were definitely some amazing glory days in our military. Those days are gone. Our military is an absolute government corporation. It's a government corporation. People serve in the military for a paycheck and a pension benefit, stuff like that. We don't really care about each other. And again, you're seeing that right there. But it's interesting. This person's not only a military veteran, his absolute moniker is military support. And can you press repost because I have government corruption report and I need help? Nah. What do you want now? Interesting. This is do you really think about it? You want to know why? What would happen if Barron Trump looked at his father? It never happened. Says, Dad, I want to join the military. What do you think Donald would say? He'd be like, you're too smart. You're too special. You got too high DNA to join the military, bunch of losers. It's probably right. Now, very unprofessional what he says. Is there truth to that? Oh, there's truth to that. Again, the best and the brightest, not in our military. It's a shame. It used to be. So watch. We're going to keep going on this because people have asked, David, you must be a bad apple. You must be because that's why no one in the FBI is coming to help you. No one in the military is coming to help you. You must be a bad apple. No, not at all. Why? I don't know. We're gonna look at this guy, Joe Kent. I don't know Joe Kent personally. And my feelings of support military veterans has radically changed. But I don't really have a problem with him, and I'm going to speak highly about him. But the point being is, so what I'm trying to say is, I don't know all the details about this guy, Joe Kent, but I'm going to make an assumption that he has a legitimate background, military veteran, and he honorably quit. He did. It was something. But the attack on him, what do I keep saying? You step out of line politically with this machine called the American globalist government, you're an immediately enemy of the state. Everyone. They won't. And I'm telling you, it's going to split. We are going to continue to spiral down. It's going to get worse. But anyway, this is interesting because these are two military veterans here talking about, and it just shows again to my point, because I want to emphasize this to the civilians. Just use logic. If military veterans cannot come together and do this, whatever this liberal phrase of we need to come together and unite, sounds very communist. But the point being is, if military veterans can't do that, do you think 350 million bunch of diverse Americans are going to do it? Probably not. You have to use logic here. It's going to get worse, people. So let's look at this. This guy, and again, the point with the military starts with the officer corps. This person is a retired general, and he's a congressman or senator. What an absolute shitbag these military officers are. Even, don't believe me, ask the enlisted soldiers of all the branches. Ask them what do they think of the military officer corps. I would say the majority will give a thumbs down. But again, this guy's even worse. Not only is he a general, he's a politician. But anyway, let's take a look at this guy here. Again, I don't know him. Okay, so let me bring this screen down so everyone can see it. Let me bring it here, bring it there. Okay. So anyway, I don't know who this guy is. This guy is Don Bacon. I followed him. I guess he's a congressman. Anyway, whatever. So look at him. He's a great American, whatever. He's a brigadier general, U.S. Air Force retired. And I guess he's the chair of the cyber subcommittee, something like bullshit. I guess this guy's a congressman. He's an absolute shitbag. I'm telling you, the generals and the admirals, these are not the top line. These people are not the best and the brightest. But let's judge his character. We have a guy named Joe Kent, and we're going to talk about him. Overall, what do I think about Joe Kent? Overall is very, very positive. But I don't know all the details about Joe Kent, so I could change my mind. Again, this is leadership 101. I don't know all the details, but what do I know so far? Wow, thumbs up, and I'll explain later. But anyway, this is, again, two military veterans. We have Joe Kent, and we have this brigadier general, retired, who's leeched off the American public his whole life, brigadier general retired, and now he's a congressman leeching off America. How do those two people get along? Let's take a look. And remember, this is the same Donnie boy that I've been asking to help. Don's ignoring me. Why would Don help me? He's an absolute shitbag. Don says this is the Joe Kent. Good riddance. Iran has murdered more than 1,000 Americans. Their EFP landmines were the deadliest in Iraq. Anti-Semitism is evil. Yeah, we'll get with the Israeli thing. Probably the person who downvoted this is probably some type of Zionist anyway. I detest, and we surely don't fit it in our government. Wow, Don. Looks like Don really backs Joe Kent. I'm trying to think anything I said. Don, why do you not support military veterans? He knows that. Interesting. I didn't see this. Dan Bilzerian. You're a traitor to this nation. We have done. Interesting. This guy, Dan Bilzerian, pretty interesting guy right here. Let's keep going, though, in terms of what's going on here. Let's go to this one right here. Oh, my bad. This is interesting about, watch, I want to show you this clip here. Dana. So I don't know who this woman is so much. Let me bring this down. I don't know if this woman's like a former congresswoman or something, Dana Losh, whatever. But anyway, she writes unbelievable. But here's the key. Look at these comments. I think I wrote, so I wrote this. This is my comment. Most people working in the government are doing it for a paycheck and a pension. I'm sorry to the American folks. Let me bring this back to you. So that way you get it. You get it or you don't. Most people working are doing it for a paycheck and a pension. The FBI, the CIA, it is what it is. Whether you believe me now or believe me later, they're not doing it for duty on our country. I'm telling you. Same thing with the military. Same thing with West Pointers. It's just not. And again, one of the things that I said my service was, I left the military and I left the FBI. Never got fired, did very well, but I was not going to leech off the government. That doesn't mean I don't want a strong military and a strong FBI, whatever. It's bloated. It's bloated beyond belief. We need to start defunding it. But if you think these people are in our government, and we're going to talk about what Joe Kent did. It's interesting. It was a paper that I wrote at Harvard that I'm shocked. So first I want to tell you right here quickly, what Joe Kent did is shocking. But like I said, I don't know. People are saying conspiracy theories. He's compromised. He did it for money. I don't know. All I'm saying is, what do I see on paper? And what do I see on paper is very impressive. It was a paper I wrote at Harvard on how to change the military officer corps. But you got to remember, even Donald Trump that came into presidency had said the same thing. Our military sucks. The military officers are weak. That's even the same thing with Pete Hegseth, how it has to change. So I said this even before Donald Trump came in, I said our military officer corps is weak, it's selfish, and they're doing it for a paycheck and a pension. And then people didn't believe me, and then Donald Trump started saying this, and so it is. It's so common that you wouldn't believe. People are in the military are doing a priority for a paycheck and a pension. Anyway, let me go back to this so we can go through some of the comments. So let me, most people are doing it for a paycheck and a pension. What I want to do is some of the comments, though, we don't have time, but man, this guy has been attacked. Look at other comments that he's done. We won't go into it, but we'll do another video on him in a second. But anyway, it's pretty amazing what he did. So this is what I got from another military veteran. Again, we're doing politics here about the same thing. This is these two bimbos. Oh yeah, Carolyn Levitt and Erica Kirk. Something's very strange with both of them. So the first one is, so you know it, both of these women are feminists. Whether you believe it or not, they're not traditional women. I'm sure they want the Iran war. They're pro for it. And if there's a draft, they're not going to get drafted. You're going to get drafted. But anyway, got some heat on that. Let me just look at this. This is a pretty interesting thing about historical indicators. This is from Lindsey Graham, who is pretty, let's say Lindsey Graham is just went off kilter. I don't even know how that guy is representing America, but look what he said before about Donald Trump. Interesting how people, this is leadership, judgment. And we're going to talk, before I end, I'm going to talk about quickly about judgment on Donald Trump. Let me push this here really quick. Interesting. This is where Donald Trump, hopefully everyone sees it. He says, kill the FISA. It was illegally used against me and many others. They spied on me. Well, guess what, Donald? That was my issue. They've been using on me. And I'm telling you, to the American people, it doesn't matter if you're not doing anything illegal. Once the FBI and these other agencies start spying on you, you are going to get damages that you never even believed you can get. But before, especially when you talk about your reputation, when you're overseas with foreign governments, yeah, you're a foreign citizen. You're not a U.S. citizen. You're not a native national in these foreign countries. If these foreign countries start getting word from the FBI that you're a possible terrorist, you're a disruptor, whatever, you don't have legal rights overseas. I mean, talk about the FBI putting me in danger and doing this whole thing and not having the courage and the honor to face me man to man. We'll go into the FBI later, but pretty horrible. Anyway, so here we're going to go. This is going to be the video. MAGA is going to split. Now, the first thing I want to make it known for Donald Trump, I still believe Donald Trump is the best president of my entire lifetime. It is. I've said this many times. Don't even think that I'm going toward the Democrats. It's over. I left America in 2010. I'm telling you, we are going to go to collapse and civil war. But Donald Trump is the best president of my entire lifetime. But I'm a nationalist. And the point being is the MAGA movement thinks they're nationalists. They're not. They're probably the closest thing to nationalists. So when I said MAGA's going to split, guess what? Donald Trump, through very good leadership, he actually split the party. I remember I told you when the FBI was spying on me, I was in this group with a bunch of West Pointers when I was in Shanghai and everything. And this is when Donald Trump first ran for president. And there were people, these were West Pointers, that were like, man, I'm a diehard Republican. I don't want to vote for Donald Trump. I don't like him, but I got to vote for him. Like the reluctant Trump supporters. Oh, not me. I was like, this guy's the best ever. But the best is yet to come. But what did Donald Trump do? He split the Republican Party. He said, these guys are rhinos. Totally agree with them. And we're MAGA. And guess what? The movement went. You don't think that's going to happen again? It will. And I say it to the MAGA people, you're not national. So what are the issues? Well, let's play the one issue right here. This is what brought up. This guy is a congressman. I'm amazed how this person's a congressman. And it just shows that America, we're an occupied country. Absolutely occupied.
It was not enough for Tucker Carlson. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is easy to criticize anti-Semitism when it happens on the other side. It is more difficult to address it when it happens on your own. It was not enough for Tucker Carlson to a few days ago say every Jew should have to do a DNA test to prove that they were Jewish. It was not enough for him to say that a terrorist should be able to kill us if they are under 18 years old. But yesterday, Tucker Carlson attacked perhaps the best, the most good group of Jews that are out there, a group of people who see their job to evangelize not other Jews, but Jews themselves, Chabad, a group that no one ever has anything bad to say about because they care about everyone. I wear a kippah from UF Chabad today in honor of them. We have a cancer in this country. It is anti-Semitism, and Tucker Carlson represents it. He is many things, but one thing President Trump and I agree on is he is certainly not MAGA. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, two quick questions on that to MAGA. Question number one, what religion do you think he put as a priority? Probably Judaism. Okay. What country do you think he put as a priority, America or Israel? I think he probably puts Israel first. Now, this is not a private citizen. This is a congressman. We have a major problem. So the point being is my view on Israel is this. I've said many times. Israel has never betrayed America. China has never betrayed America. Russia has never betrayed us. Your American government has betrayed you. The American corporations have betrayed you. My stance on Israel is very simple. I'm not an expert on the Middle East. I could talk about it a little bit. I've lived a little bit there. But my issue with the Israelis are, I don't argue with them unless you're a Middle East expert. You do whatever you got to do. Okay, you want to commit genocide to the Palestinians? Go. You don't think our forefathers, we committed genocide to the Native Americans? We did. You don't think China's committing some genocide to the Uyghurs? It happens. Do I disagree with it? Absolutely. Talk about a horror. But the point being is back to Israel. You do whatever you got to do. Oh, Iran, this, to this, to this. But 2 points. One, we're not paying for it. We're not paying for it. We're talking American taxpayer money. And two, no, we're not going to send our military there. Ain't going to happen. But they can do it. Now, if you're a private American citizen and you want to donate your private money, I know Jewish Americans that want to serve in the IDF. I don't have a problem with that. This guy, Brian Math, who's a congressman, served in the IDF. No, not going to happen. So I say again, my issue is not. But if you as a country, not giving Israel military support or money, if that's considered anti-Semitism, that's considered extortion. That's considered extortion. So that's my argument. Now, if you are an expert on the Middle East, Tucker Carlson did that with Mike Huckabee when he was arguing about the Bible and the Torah and the land, the DNA. I mean, that's fine. I just don't get an argument. The Jews are pretty smart people and they know more about it than I do. But we just hold it with, you do whatever you got to do. Yeah, you're right. I'm not going to argue with you. We're not giving any taxpayer money. And we're not giving any military support. Now, what I want to say is I don't mean that in totality. We should have allies, even with NATO. I'm okay. We all have to have alliances. But this alliance or friendship seems to be very one-sided. Again, the amount of info. Think about this. I'm going to use an example. Do you want to know a great way for Israel? I don't want to spend too much on Israel. We'll do other videos. But watch this. Use this as logic in your head. What would be a great way for Israel to convince Americans to give our taxpayer money to them and to die for Israel? This would be legitimate. I would agree with this. If Israel says the state of Israel will now become the 51st state of America. All the MAGA people want it. They want Greenland, they want Canada, they want Mexico, they want Venezuela. I mean, Trump's all into the 51st state. If Israel said, we are now the 51st state, so you as an American citizen with your American passport can move here tomorrow, you can vote, you can become the president. They'll change the language bilingual, Hebrew and English. A lot of the Jews anyway speak Israel likes to speak English there. But it's saying, so you're an American. You can go there and you could run for, I guess it would be governor, whatever the political equivalent of it, but it would be an American territory. So the reason why your taxpayer money is going to Israel and you're going to die for Israel is Israel is now as part of America. You are an American citizen. You can move there. What do you think Israel would say? No way. They wouldn't do it in a heartbeat. But the point being is to the Israel, if you want us to spill our blood for you, to give our money to you, and you wouldn't even give citizenship to these American soldiers or whatever, that's where you draw the line. And so the point is, I don't have a problem. I actually, just like living in China, in some ways, I have a lot of respect for the Chinese government, how they put China first and the Chinese people first. I have a lot of respect for them. The Israeli government puts Israel first and the Israeli people first. In fact, they put Jews around the world first. I have nothing against that. Go for it. Our government are a bunch of traitors, absolute traitors. So again, that's my main point with Israel. It's like, yeah, I don't argue with you because anything you're going to say is going to be anti-Semitism. So you do what you got to do. You're right, and I am ignorant. I don't know, but I'm not giving you any money, and I'm not going to die for you. Have a good life. That would be the best argument I would tell people that are not experts in the region. But that's not working. Why? Because our government's connected with them more now. And I've said this before too. I do believe there's a population in America that are what's called Christian Zionists that are really into it. I think most of the other politicians in America, they're just doing it for the money. And I say that because I see the same thing in China. So I don't believe a lot of these corrupt politicians, they're corrupt, they're traitors, or corrupt, traitorous American corporations that are in cahoots with Israel are doing it because they have this, I don't know what, worship of Jews. I don't think so. They just go wherever the money is. And if the highest bidder are with the Israelis, they go. If the highest bidder is with the Chinese, they're going. I've seen it. And that's the reason why we don't have a country anymore. We have a globalist corporation. And I want to say this now to make it, we got a couple of videos. I want to say this now. What brings Americans together? I want you to think about that. What brings us together? It's not religion. We are not a Christian nation in America. And I've seen so much bullshit of people saying I'm a Christian. I don't know what Christianity is anymore. So many people say, I'm a Christian. I want to help people out. Can you help me out? No, no one cares. But we're not a Christian nation anymore. And it's like the girl now. It's like the new thing that women are using to get men, because women are having problems finding a husband because women in America, particularly white women, are realizing they're absolute filthy whores. I didn't say it. That's what they're saying it. But the new thing is, I'm a Christian. I'm a born-again Christian, but I just had a gangbang last weekend, but I'm still a Christian. But it's a name we throw out. So we're not Christian, and that's not going to bring us together. Two, The military, will that bring us together? Well, I just made my point. We military people don't like each other. We don't like each other. We don't support each other. The military is, I'd say, about maybe to be beneficial, maybe 50-50, like a 50% here and a 50% there, brotherhood. But we as a whole, we are not. I cannot emphasize that enough. So the military doesn't bring people together, okay? Does race, now a country's racial, for instance, the Jews, very racial. The Chinese, does the white race bring us together? Not much, because the first people that would be stepping in front of us, calling us racist, are probably white people. Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind. It would be white people. So we can't really come together for a racial. So what brings us together? Only one thing. It's money. It's it. We all know that. We all know of people or yourselves working in a shitty corporation. We know that. You're working in a job, you don't like your management, you don't like the company, you probably don't even like the products. Like, I work at Kentucky Fried Chicken, and this stuff is garbage. I don't even like eating the food here. Then why are you there? I just need a paycheck. And this is even in the government too. So we're doing stuff, working in companies, doing certain work, services, making products that we're not even thrilled about or agree, but we're doing it. Why? Because we're getting a paycheck. And we all know that this American corporation called America is this squeaky bus or train or car that's getting more and more broke down. And it's kabooming, kakanging, kalinging down the road. And we know that it's going to go out of commission soon. But as long as we get our daily paycheck, we're like, we'll be here. But what happens when that money stops? We're going to kill each other. You know, and an economic crisis is coming. I'm going to do videos later of the amount of Americans now exponentially getting second passports and leaving America. And we're talking too, because it's an expensive endeavor. These will all be the high net worth people in America who always say, I love America. I'm such a patriot. Like Donald Trump, never served in the military, always a patriot. But when this ship sinks, they'll be the first ones out. But you're going to see that. But the only thing that's really keeping us together is what? That money. And when that gravy train of an economy starts getting worse and worse and worse, there's going to be violence. Guns and ammo are coming out. Let's watch with a couple points here. Let's look to Tucker. Now, remember what I said about Tucker, just like me. People said, David, if the FBI is investigating you, you must have been doing something illegal. Well, that's really smart. That's like saying if you get sent to prison, you must have been guilty for doing illegal acts. Like there's nobody in prison that gets sent there for innocent. So that now for the FBI, this was exactly what I wrote Senator Shitbag Chuck Grassley in 2007. This is the FISA. And I said it. And when I was in the FBI, I saw it firsthand, the FBI abusing, it's illegal, spying on American citizens based upon hunches, personalities. And when you leave, just like Joe Kent, we're getting to him. Joe Kent left. Notice how he's despised. When I left the FBI, I was warned by a senior West Pointer in the FBI. He's like, you better watch your back. He goes, leaving the FBI is not like leaving the military. They get very personal. The best way to describe that is, I'm trying to put it in a context that a regular civilian knows. And so that is, we probably all had a traffic stop, usually all of us, a speeding ticket. You know what I'm saying? You're driving down the road and the cop behind you pulls you over. And we all know that based upon human nature, cops, it is what it is. They all have power trips. And if you kiss their ass, hi, sir, hi, officer, there is a higher percentage chance of whatever the punishment, whatever the situation will be de-escalated. Versus if you exercise your rights, not doing anything illegal, sometimes not even doing anything rude, not like rude is illegal, but exercising your rights, guess what's going to happen? That's going to be escalated. Why? Because people in positions of power, and the FBI is the most powerful agency in America, pound for pound, that when there's this personality issue, they get vengeful. And you're seeing that with this guy, Joe Kent, that all of a sudden, this guy is just really bad. Same thing with me. So anyway, let's go to Tucker Carlson, because the point being is once you start pushing against this state apparatus, you are going to feel something you've never seen before. The reason this was never like this when I was growing up is because the American empire is collapsing. When I grew up, again, I'd probably say, when was America at its peak? 1950s, 1960s. Notice the baby boom generation, the land of milk and honey. Everything was good back then. Because when America is strong, militarily strong, economically, it's a good life. So when I grew up too, America was pretty strong. So there was no such thing as really pushing against the state because the state didn't feel vulnerable. You are going to see now that our United States government, I'm telling you, they are nervous. They know that these domino blocks are falling. And because of that, they are going to take, you're going to see it too in many apparatus, they are going to take overreaching steps to demolish any type of opposition. Meaning we're going to start turning into a third world government. Where before in the 1980s, if you're like, screw the government, I hate the government, I fall with the government, no one cares. Now it's different. So Tucker Carlson, also he's a person of influence and power. Now he's pushing against the government. He's not doing anything illegal. Now we don't know, but I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say he's probably not doing anything illegal, just like me. Now, what I did against the American government could be considered unpatriotic, whatever the hell that means, saying, our government's an empire. I look forward to the government falling. This is where free speech, but not illegal. So Donald or for Tucker Carlson, I'm going to assume he's not doing anything illegal, but he's now expressing opinions of this globalist American government is the enemy of the state, which I've said. And you start going down that path, you're going to feel a pain you've never been before. But if you're a person, if you're a nobody, you may go under the radar. Why? Well, it's because they don't look at you as a threat. So you are like Tucker Carlson, or maybe you're like me, screw the government, but you're, lack of a better word, you're a nobody, is what it is. Then sure, they're probably not going to crack down on you because you're not even on the radar. Tucker Carlson's on the radar. Why? Very influential, very powerful. And if he starts tilting politically against the American government, he will be considered an enemy of the state. Give it time. You're going to go back on these videos. Again, one of the things that I've done my entire life, I was ranked #2 in leadership at West Point. I won the leadership award at Harvard, won it at IMD. I have very good judgment. I'm telling you, I left America in 2010. You have not seen anything yet. You are going to start seeing things that you've never seen before. Because history is going to repeat, and history does repeat. Empires fall. We are in the last legs of this empire. Also, there's not many people, there's nobody in the United States government that have as much of experience that I do with China. Now, am I saying China is the future? No. But what I am saying is we are going to go in a multipolar world because there are other powers that are growing, and America is going down. Let's look at Tucker, what he has to say, though.
The Department of Justice. So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report, to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war. They read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign.
The weird thing is when I think of a foreign agent, you know what country comes to my mind first? Israel. Probably another reason why I'm censored so much on this stuff. Again, I don't have a problem with Israel. I in fact, just like China, I respect Israel so much. But you got to call a spade a spade. We work this in the FBI, not to this extent because it's changing. And I've said this in other videos. But if you would ask me, David, what foreign country has the most influence on America? I would say Israel by far, but it's never looked upon as an agent of foreign power. It's, whether China or Russia or Iran, but we never seem to say Israel. And it's right there in front of us.
Foreign power. And I don't expect this to go anywhere. I'm not too worried about an actual criminal case against me for a bunch of reasons. One, I'm not an agent of a foreign power. Unlike a lot of people commenting on U.S. politics and global affairs, I have only one loyalty, and that's the United States, and have never acted against it. Its interests are the only interests I care about because I'm from here and I have a lot of kids. So that's not a concern. I've also never taken money from anybody. Don't need it, don't want it. And that's provable. And moreover, it's my job to talk to everybody all the time. And
so, truth be told, from a human intelligence analysis, there is stress coming out of his voice. What I think he's trying to do is he has something that most of us don't. He has a major social platform. What he's doing right now, believe it or not, he is reaching out to us in a sense of he needs to already start making his case before a potential arrest. But there's nervousness in his voice and his posture. And he's saying, I need to start telling my side of the story now to the millions of viewers before I may not have a chance to tell it if he's apprehended or not. Do you think this is crazy? Look at me. You're talking to an American citizen born and raised in America, a West Point grad, military veteran, former FBI agent. I'm not welcome back in America. My passport's been flat. And this whole, before Trump came in, the FBI was corrupt. Remember that? And now Trump's in, I guess the FBI's fixed, and they've never talked to me. And they know about me. Everyone knows my story, the people that follow me. So what I'm trying to say is this, David, that sounds like a pretty wild conspiracy story of Tucker Carlson. What do I keep saying? You're going to start seeing things you've never seen before. You don't see a former FBI agent go on here and say, why am I on the FBI terrorist watch list and why is our entire government silent? You don't think? We are splitting. It's going to get dangerous, but you see it in Tucker. But Tucker has an advantage. He has a major social platform that he could build momentum, but he's already building his case in a defensive posture. Probably a good idea.
try and figure out what's happening around the world. That's literally what I do for a living. And I'm not going to stop doing that, nor should I don't think. I'm also an American. I can talk to anybody. I have no secrets to divulge. So legally, I think the case is ludicrous, and I doubt it will even become a case. I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons, though.
Interesting. So I haven't seen this video, but we'll see if I got it.
And they're pretty obvious. One is that countries tend to become more authoritarian in wartime. It's just the nature of war.
Well, I'm going to correct him. He's right on that, but countries also become authoritarian during their downfall. We are in an American decline. So we don't need war. We're going to continue to make wars. This is part just like when the Roman Empire fell. But we are becoming authoritarian primarily because we are now in the stage of the empire's decline. That's where I would correct him on that more specifically.
People are dying. The stakes are high. People's emotions have risen to a very high point, to a crescendo. And so there's much less tolerance for any kind of dissent in the homeland. The irony, of course, is the United States fights wars on behalf of freedom, but there's always less of it here in our country during war. So that's a widely recognized phenomenon, and it's likely to happen now too. Another point to make that is worth knowing is that the USIC, the intelligence agency, spy on Americans. Now, you probably knew that, and it's been revealed a lot, including by Julian Assange and Ed Snowden, both of whom are threatened with death for revealing it, but everyone knows. But it's probably a little more widespread than most people understand. And it's outrageous.
Absolutely. Now, remember, I was in the FBI during the War on Terror. It's interesting. I want to say this right now, because before I forget, history is repeating. If there's ever something you could remember right now, it's in writing, is remember this. I just thought about this a couple hours ago, and I remembered it again. History is repeating. When I was in the FBI, the number one threat that we're looking is called radical Islamic terrorism. It was the War on Terror. Remember that? Afghanistan, Iraq. I've said this. Go back in videos. I've said this many times. Within 1 year in the FBI, I realized that the primary threat, foreign, not the primary threat. What did I say in the book? The number one threat to America is the globalist American government and the globalist American corporations, by far. But if you ask me, what is the number one foreign threat, even back in the FBI? China. Anyone knows. Now, I don't view China as evil, but if I would kind of worry, maybe if you don't want to say enemy, threat, adversary, whatever you want to call it, political, military, economic, it is growing. So way back in the FBI, I realized I was pushing heads with my manager. I'm like, are you kidding me? The Taliban, ISIS, China, ding, ding, ding. Where are we right now? And there's a quick clip of China. Radical Islamic terrorism, Iran, compared to China. What do you think? Now, make it known, though, I never said China's our number one threat. It's domestically. Rome falls from within. And maybe it's not, I wouldn't categorize as China as an enemy. They're not evil. I mean, but they're tired of America being the boss, at least in Asia. I don't blame them. But if you ask me, the same thing when I was in the FBI, this is like 20 years ago. Right now, the history's repeating. 20 years ago, Special Agent Baumblatt were focusing on counterterrorism and radical Islamic terrorism and the Taliban. Sir, I really think we're off base here. I think China is a much bigger threat. You don't know what you're talking about. Today, our biggest threat is Iran. We got to bomb them. Really? Who do you think, China or Iran? And what's happening now in the world? How is China being viewed now in the world compared to America? We're really being looked upon as a bully, authoritarian, war machine, warmonger. China is now looking, and this is the danger. This is where I'm getting more and more amazed, because I was never on the bandwagon with China's soft power. I'll do other videos. A lot of people aren't going to get it, but they're actually doing much better now in soft power than America. Go around bombing and killing other countries is not a good way to build soft power. So, meaning, in some ways, China doesn't have to do anything. They just got to sit back and they're going to say, this guy, Donald Trump, and these MAGA people nuts, threatening Greenland, threatening Canada, going into Venezuela. They're just going to sit back. But if you ask me again, Iran or China, what is the bigger threat, adversary? It's China. Now, I said that about America. What about Israel? Again, I'm not saying we're fighting Israel wars, but for Israel, it could be Iran. It could be, not for America, which makes you wonder, why are we attacking Iran? Maybe it's for Israel. Maybe we're fighting Israel's war. So if you're Israel, it could be Iran as your biggest threat. They don't have any domestic threats, because trust me, in Israel, I know enough about them. They are much more unified than America. So their number one threat isn't domestic. It is foreign. It might be Iran. Our biggest threat, it's domestic without a doubt. But if it's foreign, I would put China still above Iran in terms of a threat. So it makes you wonder what's going on. History's repeating, just like the empires are going to fall.
Outrageous. There's no justification for your government, which you own, you're a shareholder in it, you pay for it, to be violating your privacy like this. But it happens all the time. And in fact, one of the reasons that CIA, or people within CIA, just to be clear, it's a huge, sprawling, disconnected agency. What it does in a specific case doesn't represent what everybody in the building thinks, but there are some people who are mad at me for my views about Israel, and they have some latitude. And one of the reasons they pass on criminal complaints, in effect, to law enforcement is to justify warrants for spying on Americans. So that is an absolutely real thing. But the main reason they do it is to leak the existence of the investigation, such as it is, to the media, and then humiliate and terrify the subjects of this op.
Yeah, I want to be very, very frank with people. Let me tell you a quick story in the FBI, and then people look at me. You don't realize when the FBI, again, I never want to go up against the FBI. I've never said anything negative in my life about the FBI, except in 2 times. When I wrote my letter to Senator Chuck Grassley when I left, I probably went a little bit overboard. I described the leadership as basically dog shit. That Senator Chuck Grassley, but again, I viewed it, Senator Chuck Grassley was still internal. Like, I didn't go public. The FBI viewed it as going outside the FBI, again, personalities. But in that letter, Senator Chuck Grassley, when I exposed what the FBI was doing, I probably was disparaging, to say the least, number one. Number two is when I went on social media, because people were asking, and I have to tell them about the FBI. Or like, people thought I got fired from the FBI. No, I never got fired. So then they're like, why'd you quit? And I'm like, well, I told them, because these people are incompetent, corrupt, and this. So that's when the negativity came out. But the point, what I'm saying is, you don't want to mess with these people. Just like Tucker is saying, and what I'm going to tell you, when the FBI is spying on you, you don't realize how, I don't want to say the word uncomfortable, because it's an understatement. So many things. I'm going to give you an example. Well, let me give you an example. When I was in the FBI Academy, they relish on this. People who go into the FBI, unlike the CIA, even unlike the military, it is power. The FBI is 2 words, power and secrets. I'm going to give you an example, FBI Academy. And they laughed about this. They thought it was cool. In the FBI, we are the highest level of law enforcement. So we're both intelligence and law enforcement combined. And so even in the government, we have the a power authority to arrest anyone. So we'll go to the Pentagon for generals. We'll go to the CIA headquarters. We'll go to the White House. And people don't realize when the FBI is after you, investigating you, the amount of stress in your life, you have no clue. A lot of people are like, I'm not afraid of the FBI. Yeah. You keep it up. I'm telling you, they'll destroy your life. So the story was very simple. The instructor was saying, yeah, one time we had to go to the Pentagon, and it was a brigadier general. So also you got to remember, brigadier generals are a little bit older too. They're about 50. I'd say a brigadier general, I could be wrong. I'm going to guess 55 years old. It's a good age for a brigadier general. So Pentagon, brigadier general, FBI is doing an investigation. They're going straight in the Pentagon. They go in his office. FBI, we need to talk with you. Anyway, within about a couple minutes, the guy gets a heart attack and dies right then and there. And the agents were saying, they're kind of chuckling, saying, that's what it is, man. They're like, people, meaning the FBI is always, that's why, again, they don't want to talk with me. They only want to deal when they have the upper hand. And 99% of the time, they have the upper hand. They want that power. They have the cards. And so when that person they're talking to is intimidated, scared, basically even has a heart attack, that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. So when I went to the Hong Kong consulate, the U.S. consulate in Hong Kong, and I said, I want to speak with the FBI ALAT. He refused to speak to me. He knows. And that's what he said, it's goon squad. This would be the State Department diplomatic service, the special agents, the yo-yos. These, I said, these are the guys that were making C level. These are the guys who applied in the FBI, got rejected. These are the yo-yos. Why? Because there was no way an FBI agent was going to talk with me and I was going to put him on that level. They're not going to do it. They have to be at the power. And I want to go back to this conversation we're having with Tucker. I don't think, and this is what I talked about, the FISA. I have no problem with the FISA as it pertains to foreign nationals. As it pertains to U.S. citizens, and other constitutional scholars have agreed with me on this. It's unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional. But going back to Tucker's point, when they start spying on you, I don't think Americans realize the paranoia. I'm going to give you another example. These are real life examples. Your ex-girlfriend or your old college buddy calls you back, hey man, let's talk. It's been a long time, and this and this and this. And you believe everything's normal. And sooner or later you realize that they're being paid by the FBI to spy on you and gather. And so those relationships that you had, you realize that you're being betrayed. And what does it do for your level of trust for people? You get paranoid. You don't trust anyone. You're like, my best friend, my fucking best friend. And what about this person? What about that? It will destroy your life. And you know what the FBI thinks about it? They like it. I don't explain to you. I wasn't really into, and I'll do stories of the FBI. I didn't get a hard on, because they do. These FBI agents get hard ons with the badge and the gun. It never really got to me. That's why I could leave. I don't know. I'm 6'5". I'm a top level boxer. I just got respect normally in life. I don't need the badge. I don't need the gun to think I'm a big guy, but they do. And they love it. They like that feeling, because we all know, what does a bully like? What does a bully get off on? It's like pornography. Like, they jerk off to this stuff. They like that fear of other people. They like people to be panicking. They like to feel that overwhelming power. They get off on it. That's the people in our government, to include the FBI. Don't think so? Problem is the FBI is very small. They don't have the manpower. So again, if you're a nobody, lack of a better term, then sure, you'll never come into contact with them. But you get to any place of significance and you push back politically, we're not saying illegally, push back on this government, you're going to see an FBI. Well, you're going to see an FBI for the first time you've ever seen. And if they're doing the job right, you'll never see it. You'll live in this world of mirrors, and you'll get paranoid. This is what Tucker Carlson's happening right now. The only thing Tucker Carlson has is great. He has an audience now. And what he's doing now is also part of therapy. He wants to tell his story because he needs help. I don't think people realize how dangerous this apparatus is. And when you worry about China, Russia, Iran, tell you something, what's going to take away your faith, your family, and your freedom quicker than you could think of, it's the United States government. It's not the Iranian government, the Chinese government, the Russian government. It's the American government. And you're going to start seeing things you've never seen before.
And that's, of course, happened to me repeatedly, many times, including in famously 2021 when I was still at Fox News and trying to set up an interview with Vladimir Putin. And the NSA, I heard from someone there, had grabbed my text messages with an American citizen and had leaked them to news outlets. Those texts were basically my attempts to set up an interview with the foreign head of state, and they leaked them to the New York Times in order to stop the interview, which they successfully did, by the way. And they admitted that they were spying on me. This is not a fantasy. It actually happened. They did it again 2 years later. My second attempt to get a Putin interview, I managed to get it anyway, and they've done it since. And so when you get a call from a reporter who knows the contents of your texts, it's pretty clear something's going on. None of this, in my judgment, as of right now, is a huge threat to me. So I'm not making this video to complain about it or whine or ask you to send me money because I'm under attack. I'm saying it because
he's nervous. I'm telling you, he's nervous. And I agree with him. He's very nervous. One thing about me, when I'm in Hong Kong, it's pretty good. Now, I'm meaning in terms of reach. You're an American. In fact, I don't want to change the subject too much. We'll do it. But the way of recruitments between the CIA and the FBI is very different. The CIA generally has one tool where the FBI has two tools. We've always heard of the stick and the carrot. We know that. The carrot could be money. The CIA really works on carrots. They don't really work on sticks. Why? When they're recruiting people overseas, they really have to use the carrot to get them. The FBI, this is what we learned. We use the carrot and the stick. Why? Because if you are located on American soil, no matter where you are, it doesn't matter if you're an American or foreign, whatever. If you're on American soil, the FBI can use a stick on you. They could do things. This is where the coercion, meaning it's colloquial, the good cop and the bad cop, meaning we can do this the easy way. We'll give you money. You cooperate with us. Or, interesting, seems like you didn't pay all your taxes last year. What do you mean by that? We think, do you want us to give a call to the IRS and audit you or other stuff? We have both. And so the point is Tucker's nervous. I'd be too if I was him.
it's true, and you should know what your own government is doing, and you should know what the stakes are. And you should know that a lot of what happens in this country that affects outcomes happens behind the scenes. Some of it is legal, some of it is not, including what I'm describing now. But it has an effect. And the intel agencies, again, not everyone in the intel agencies, because there are decent.
No, they're not. I've said this many times. We all say that the FBI management, the CIA management is evil, but the people on the ground are good. No, I've said that many times. I'm not going to say his name, but my FBI Academy roommate. I've said this many times. The management, absolutely. These people are tyrannical. But what about the lone CIA case officers and FBI agents? A lot of them are weak people, meaning if they were your next door neighbor, they're really nice people. And they don't really have, for lack of a better word, evil in their body, but they're weak. Paycheck and pension comes number one. And if given the order, they're going to execute. They will execute. They'll arrest or whatever. It might be reluctantly. They don't really want to do it, but got wife and kids, man. Need a paycheck. Got to do it. Meaning they're not so, which the next video is about Joe Kent. And I cannot emphasize this enough. Unless there's something that I don't know behind him, because I don't know enough and I haven't researched it, but I'm just telling you, resignations of levels of that, it's unheard of. But if you think an FBI or CIA agent is going to say, you know something, that's an unlawful order. That's unconstitutional. That's immoral. I am not going to follow that order. And if I have to, then I'll be terminated or I'll resign. Yeah, that's in the movies. That's in the movies. 99% of these shitbag government employees will say, and he's really good. This would be my FBI roommate. Nice guy, but he's weak. He would be, I know what he would do. He'd be like, I really don't want to do this. Boss, do I really have to do this? You have to do it. That's an order. Okay. That's what they're going to do. I'm telling you. So this whole deal about management is evil. What did I even say about China? Chinese government evil? Chinese people good? No, about the same. But I'm telling you, but the difference, obviously, that's more apples and oranges. Why? We don't have loyalty to Chinese people. These people in the government are on your taxpayer dime. Your taxpayer dime. They should do the right thing. There should be something called duty, honor, country. We're going to do the next quick video on Joe Kent. Like I said, I don't know all the details, but on face value, is there that duty, honor, country? Well, I'm pretty impressed. Let's just finish this. This is about another minute here.
Hardworking Americans who work in the intel agencies are Americans, just like they're decent, hardworking Americans who work at the DMV. But there are also people with agendas and grudges and no sense of restraint who are happy to misuse the power they have granted them by our elaborate secrecy laws to hurt fellow Americans for ideological reasons. That is entirely real. That's the story of Russiagate. And it's likely that things like that will begin to happen at greater scale now. So you should just know that going forward. Thanks.
Okay, let's go. Let's do this one here. This is by Joe Kent.
Help protect the critical Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, let's do this quick on this. 1 second.
But we begin with the war in Iran. President Trump's top counterterrorism official resigning tonight, saying Iran posed, quote, no imminent threat to the U.S.
So again, I'm a pretty good person of judgment. Unless there's something about Joe Kent in the background, compromise, money or something, I don't know. And I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. Not like we care about military veterans anymore. Remember back in the day, 20, 30 years ago, they had, no one cares. I just say, I mean, I'm waiting for people. I'm literally waiting because, again, I only talk with the MAGA people because they talk out their asshole about supporting troops. I'm really waiting for the person that says, I'm a military veteran. You should support me. I'm waiting for the person to say, fuck them, I don't support military veterans. I could care less about you people. I'm just waiting for that to say, okay, can't argue with you. But I'm saying if you support military veterans, all I'm saying is to back up your principles and press repost to my command. But anyway, I want to go back to Joe Kent. Unless I'm lacking some information, which I could, on face value, what I'm seeing here, wow. I mean, that's one word. This is not normal. You don't see this, meaning this could be exceptional leadership. And we'll break it down, but let's see this video first.
Late today, the president lashing out after Joe Kent, his hand-picked director of the National Counterterrorism Center, quit his post. Tonight, President Trump also furious. NATO allies.
Yeah, I hear you, Jamich. I mean, I've said many times, I still stand by. I still believe Donald Trump is the best president. I'm not going with anyone else, but I'm also in a different view. I don't pay my taxes anymore. I don't vote, meaning what I'm trying to say is the bigger decision that I've done is I've just left the ship. I've left America. This is a sinking ship. And I do believe Donald Trump sort of knows that he could piss off conservatives because he's like, even if you're not pleased with me, who are you going to vote for? And what do I think is voting is just dog shit. It's just, I don't believe in voting anymore. But if I had to vote again, what would I vote for? I'd vote for Donald Trump. Who the hell am I going? What, Gavin Newsom? But the point is sooner or later, the MAGA people are going to this is not working. This is not democracy. It's like you could vote for anyone you want except A or B. It's like communism, right? You could have whatever you want as long as it's choice A or choice B. Meaning we have this illusion that we're voting. It's always the same people over and over. And we thought Donald Trump was going to be different. And in some ways, I still think he's different, but he's getting very similar. But I think in some ways he's got you by the balls because he's like, oh, you're not satisfied with me. Who are you going to vote for? And I think some people are like, I'm going to vote with my feet. I'm just fucking out of America anymore. So all this money to Israel, all this money, I'm not, meaning, what do I still think is the best decision? Don't pay taxes anymore. Get out of this system. It's a sinking boat. But am I dismayed with Donald Trump? Absolutely. Do I still think he's the best? I don't know. Who's the choice? Do we have a nationalist coming up? Nope. And I think they know that. That's how the system is designed. You have this. You can vote. but it has to be choice A and choice B. And we both have these candidates are basically the same thing. I think everyone knows where I'm getting at with that.
They're refusing to help protect the critical Strait of Hormuz more than 2 weeks after President Trump started the war. And tonight, Iran now confirming its national security chief has been killed in an Israeli airstrike. And a short time ago, the images coming in, flames rising from the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. What we've learned, Iran-backed groups hitting multiple targets. Rachel Scott leading us off here with this high-level resignation tonight and President Trump's response.
Tonight, the administration's top counterterrorism official resigning in protest over President Trump's.
Think about it. If you think I'm wrong, how many times have you heard this? And if you think this happens in the military, are you crazy? And I'm gonna do a little thing for Joe Biden. I'm not into Joe Biden or the Democrats, but we have to part of leadership. The withdrawal this goes with Ken. The withdrawal from Afghanistan. Talk about a fuck up. Now, Joe Biden is the commander-in-chief, accountability rests with him. But those military generals who either advised him on that or signed, did any get fired or did any resign? They don't. Well, what I'm trying to make is this stuff doesn't happen. Think about the war in Afghanistan and Iraq, total failures. Have you ever heard of generals getting fired or resign? It doesn't happen. Why? Because why would they? They want to make money. So the reason why, at least on paper, it actually is making me nervous now. Maybe there is something with this guy, Joe Kent, conspiracy. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm just saying, you tell me, how many times have you seen this? So either Joe Kent, which I'm not arguing with this, is truly exceptional when it comes to his duty, honor, country, honor, or there's something going on in the background, because this is not normal. Because we all know that in our government, there should have been so many of these shitbags, especially these generals, either fired or resigned. So, for instance, Joe Biden, the withdrawal was absolutely ridiculous, meaning horrible. Wouldn't it have been honorable if a general said, you know, I'm a 2, 3, 4-star general that was part of the administration with Biden. I concurred. I was on it. This was horrible. I am now going to resign. It's not like a big deal. They're still going to get their nice pensions. That doesn't happen. People just don't do that. So anyway, we'll see more information on Joe Kent, but I'm just saying what he's done at his level. I don't know what level is the counterterrorism. I mean, he's an SES. I think it's an SES 3. These would be equivalent of a 2 or 3-star general. This is just unheard of. So either there is something going on, or this guy is unbelievably duty on our country. And I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt unless I see something that changes my mind.
War with Iran, declaring Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation. Joe Kent, director of the National Counterterrorism Center, writing, "I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. It is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby." Kent accusing.
Well, I think you say that about Israel. I think you're done there. So that was political suicide for him, but good for him standing up to his beliefs.
Israel of a misinformation campaign to deceive Trump into believing that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States, and that should he strike now, there was a clear path to swift victory. This was a lie. President Trump, who has long supported Kent's political career, despite Kent's controversies and past associations with anti-Semites, today brushing off his resignation.
And I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always thought he was weak on security, very weak on security. I didn't know him well.
Today, the top Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee, Mark Warner, saying Joe Kent's record is deeply troubling. But on this point, he is right. There was no credible evidence of an imminent threat from Iran. It comes as the president lashes out at America's NATO allies for refusing his demand to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
I wish there's a video, I've said this before, particularly about Denmark, you know, meaning what Donald Trump said in Denmark, talk about insulting to the Danish. So I would assume and I would hope the Danish part of NATO would be like, forget it. We're not going to help you. You threaten us. Remember that, like I said, going back to that, what is the, I forget another movie. But anyway, back to the Danish people. But and this is not even part of the NATO clause. The NATO is a defensive treaty. What America is doing is we're starting, you could say, an offensive war, some type of invasion. So anyone that wants to invoke the NATO clause, This is not what it is. I mean, you're literally getting dragged into an Israeli-American war. So what do I think about the Europeans? I think you're cucks if you do it. I think it's time for you to start putting your nations first. But it doesn't look like Donald Trump is garnering allies. I see the reason why, though.
More than 2 weeks after President Trump launched the war himself, Germany declaring it's not our war.
We can't be at every place to support a war which we didn't start it.
That's the German former defense minister. That makes pretty much sense to me.
The UK, a similar message. And today, French President Emmanuel Macron
Nous ne sommes pas partie prenante au conflit.
saying France will never take part in operations to open or liberate the Strait of Hormuz in the current context.
I think NATO's making a very foolish mistake.
After calling for Europe's help, tonight the president saying he doesn't need it after all.
Well, we don't need too much help, and we don't need any help, actually.
The president clearly frustrated with our NATO allies, but they have been.
All right, one last video. We're talking about MAGA splitting. And like I said, and I've said this many times, when people think I might be wrong, let's see how it goes. I left America in 2010. It's been 15 years. How's it going? Going well? Really? Think the war in Iran's going to go well? Let's see where it goes. How do we do in Iraq and Afghanistan? Not too well. How's the economy doing? How's the cohesion in America? All these factors. We'll see. Meaning if America collapses, then I rest my case. If it doesn't, and it does well, then I will admit I'm wrong. But I'm telling you, all the leadership that I've learned in my life, this is a sinking ship. In Iran, the same thing when I was at the Harvard Kennedy School and I was arguing with these dumb generals and intelligence people. What is the mission in Iraq? What is the mission in Afghanistan? They were so full of hubris because it's all about the money, getting it. And how was it? I don't know. You're an American citizen. Great thing. What do you think is going to happen to Iran? Same thing. This thing's dead. And the same thing when I was in the FBI. Probably China would be probably more of a significant adversary that I would be worried about if I was an American. Iran, best thing to do with Iran in terms of counterterrorism, I don't know, maybe stop allowing Iranian people to immigrate. We're talking legal immigration. Maybe not let them immigrate to America, them stay over there which they are. That could possibly be a way to do it. Starting a war, let's see. But I can tell you this, I want to say this now. All these MAGA people, there should be like a Saturday Night Live skit. So you see the MAGA guy, and all MAGA thinks is as long as I wave the American flag, man, that's all I got to do to be a patriot. It's like, what does it mean to be a patriot, man? I don't know. Just get an American flag and get a gun. And maybe a beer, and some blonde girl with tits. I guess that's it. I'm MAGA. And then all of a sudden, it's like a Saturday Night Live skit. And they're doing that, and they're like, yeah, man, I'm MAGA, man. I'm a patriot. I love America. And then announcement from the United States government. Announcement. Due to the lack of success in the Iranian war, we have to impose a military draft. We are going to be drafting you. Then all the MAGA people are like, whoa, what? Oh, man, I'm on my back. I got problems with my back. My knee hurts. I can't do it. Like all these people, you almost want to then, almost me being abroad to be like, this would be such a funny thing. All these MAGA people that are pro with the Iranian war, set a military draft and let's see it. But it's interesting when you see all these politicians who've never been in the military, whose children are not in the military. That's Donald Trump. But they love to send your kids and you to war to die. Meaning, if it was such an important clause, if it was such an important cause, maybe their children would enlist in the military. Maybe they were former military. They're not going to die. Even the generals, they're not going to die. Makes you wonder what's going on here. But anyway, let's go on to the last one.
American service members have been killed and at least 200 wounded. Americans deeply divided over the country's war with Iran. As voices of support and dissent rise, the discord reaching even some of the staunchest supporters of President Trump. Does Operation Epic Fury have the power to crack the president's usually rock-solid MAGA base? It's day 18.
I'm telling you, I think MAGA is, again, and I've said, I consider myself a nationalist. I don't consider myself MAGA. But I probably would say MAGA is the most nationalist movement in my lifetime. That's why it's got fever. But we're seeing cracks. One of the cracks, like I said, is Israel. Are we American first or are we Israel first? That's one of, I mean, there's some other factors. I've said the difference between nationalism and MAGA, but that would be one sore point that we have to look at. And there's a lot of MAGA people. They have the Israeli flag and the American flag together. I just never remember that growing up. And I get it. There wasn't social media growing up, but you know, even if you went to a person's house where we hung the American flag, I don't remember seeing it. I mean, if you saw an Israeli flag hanging from someone's house, they were truly Israeli from Israel. These people are like American citizens, and they love the Israeli flag and the American flag together, and they're like, we're MAGA. Okay, but you can't really have two masters, but this Israel thing is going to be a major sore spot of MAGA, why it's going to split.
Does operate?
I don't want war. I don't want a loss of human life, but I have to trust in the president right now. I have to.
Doug King is the kind of Trump supporter whose faith in the commander-in-chief is unwavering. What do you make of the possible impact of a long, protracted war?
I have total faith in our military, and I don't think Iran stands.
Oh my God, I don't know if this guy's military or not. I'm a West Point graduate, and I could tell you something. Well, you got to use common sense. Even when I say this, when Trump got elected and stuff, what did he say? He said our military is horrible. That's why he got Pete Hegseth. So even he said, I'm telling you, coming from someone who spent over 13 years or 14, it was 14 years in the government. I'm telling you, I'm not impressed with our military. It's about the money. We pump so much money in the military. That's why. But anyway, a lot of civilians have a lot of faith in our military. We didn't do very well in these other wars. Oh, no. Once the body bags really start coming back, our military is going to fall apart very fast.
It's a chance.
While there are some cracks appearing in MAGA world over the war, Doug, a decades-long member of the United Auto Workers Union based in Michigan, is standing firm.
They're actually a national company.
See, the reason I said this before, I think a reason why the MAGA people are stuck between a rock and a hard place is, even if you start losing more and more respect for Donald Trump, and I believe it's happening, what are you going to do? Who are you going to vote for? And that's why I think more and more people are leaving America, where they're like, forget it. But think about it. I mean, you're going to vote for the Democrats. They're going to do better. You're going to vote. I mean, what do you do? And so the best saying is you're caught between a rock and a hard place, that even though you're becoming less and less satisfied with Donald Trump, you're still not going to vote for him. Who are you going to vote for?
I first met Doug just before the 2024 election. He'd voted both for Obama and Trump in the past. How do you feel like you've been in the last 4 years?
I haven't been as well as I was 4 years ago. I'm actually worried about losing my job again. And the price of groceries are high, the price of cars are high.
Just after Trump's re-election, he told us he felt hopeful.
I look forward to Trump bringing back the United States.
Yeah, and that's huge. I mean, look at the date. That's November 6th. And this is the typical when it comes to psychology 101. It happens too with the Democrat. Remember Obama, hope, change. That didn't work. So it was, but I kept saying it. Donald Trump was already our president once. This is his second go. And I kept saying, and go back to my videos, I said it. Best president of my entire life. One, he's not going to fix his system. Not going to fix the system. It's going to go to guns and ammo. It's going to go to guns and ammo. The collapse will start economically. It'll be the economic, just same thing with the Roman Empire. But he's not going to fix it. And if you think I'm wrong, then when Trump says make America great again, what is that? What's the vision? What's great? Still globalism. He still is part of a globalist government and a globalist corporation, still the same ideology. That's why China will eventually continue to rise. Why? Because they have a nationalist ideology, and we, despite Donald Trump being a so-called nationalist, we're still globalists. That's the competing ideology.
Economy, and I look forward to peace in the Middle East.
When we last spoke with you in 2024, you said that you were looking forward to peace in the Middle East. What do you say now?
I still am looking forward to peace in the Middle East. I think at some point you have to deal with Iran. And do you wait till they get stronger and stronger?
On day 18 of the war in Iran, strikes continued in the capital of Tehran. Israeli forces killed Ali Lariani, who many believe was acting as Iran's de facto leader. And here in the U.S., President Trump's top counterterrorism official resigned, the highest profile administration member to quit over opposition to the war. U.S. Army veteran Joe Kent writing, "I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. It's clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby." Trump, who has long...
So again, what I read Joe Kent's statement, I can't really argue at all with the statement. Again, on face value, 2 thumbs up to Joe Kent. Unless, again, there's something that I don't know, something in the background, something like that. But face value, oh my God. 1, I agree with what he said. And 2, the courage and honor to resign. That's what you should do, because Donald Trump, as the president and the commander-in-chief, deserves people who are aligned with his political ideology, his leadership. So if you're not aligned like Joe Kent, it's a win-win for both. It's a win for Donald Trump because he should only have people in his administration that are, you could say, loyal followers per se. And it's a win for Joe Kent because he's following his morals. So again, I don't disagree with anything what Joe Kent wrote. And to resign and to leave, courage, honor, patriotism. But man, he is getting slandered by MAGA. No way. I mean, I look at Joe Kent as a patriot. He did the right thing. Most people don't do that. Why? Because they don't want to give up the paycheck and a pension. That's basically why.
Supported Kent's political career despite Kent's controversies and past associations with anti-Semites, today brushing off his resignation.
And I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always thought he was weak on security, very weak on security. I didn't know him well.
So far, 13 American service members have been killed and at least 200 wounded. It's been over 2 weeks since the Pentagon launched the initial attack with Israel, killing Iran's top leaders, including the ruling Ayatollah.
Oh my God.
Iran retaliating with drone attacks on neighboring Gulf countries, U.S. targets in the region, including American embassies, and effectively shutting down the Strait of Hormuz, spiking gas prices and threatening the global economy.
What do you make of the fact that gas prices are spiking?
For me, talking about gas prices seems a little bit selfish because people are dying. But I'm hoping that this doesn't drag on and it isn't a big drag on the economy.
The administration's timeline for the military mission against Iran shifting.
From the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks.
We're achieving major strides toward completing our military objective. And some people could say they're pretty well complete.
We will not relent until the enemy is totally and decisively defeated. But we do so on our timeline.
Many in the president's party back his decision. According to a recent poll, 85% of Republicans support military action against Iran. Still, from the onset, there have been high-profile detractors, like conservative host Megyn Kelly on her Sirius XM show.
Now, everyone knows I'm not a fan of Megyn Kelly at all, but in terms of leadership, if people are right, they're right. But this is a time where I would definitely agree with Megyn Kelly.
No one should have to die for a foreign country. I don't think those 4 service members died for the United States.
Popular podcaster Joe Rogan, who endorsed President Trump in the 2024 election, now puzzled by his actions.
It just seems so insane based on what he ran on. I mean, this is why a lot of people feel betrayed, right? He ran on no more wars and these stupid, senseless wars, and then we have one that we can't even really clearly define why we did it.
And Kentucky Congressman Tom Massey, a staunch Republican, questioning the reasoning for war.
We've been given 3 or 4 reasons. Last summer, it was to degrade their nuclear capability into the Stone Ages, and we were told that objective was met. So they can't use that excuse now.
Natalie Winters is a rising voice in the MAGA movement, often appearing with Steve Bannon on his War Room podcast.
I mean, I don't think you can come away with any other conclusion than that the messaging is all over the place.
She's part of the splintering within the MAGA coalition, now critical of the U.S. strikes in Iran.
We don't need to continue sinking blood, treasure, and more American lives to bring about a regime that we don't even necessarily know that they would want to abandon their nuclear desires. My point is, it's okay to speak out against issues that are, I think, pretty antithetical to what the America First movement is about.
Winters says since voicing her opinions, she's been surprised by online backlash from other MAGA supporters.
Yeah, it's pretty severe, just like with Joe Kent. I mean, these people, this thought about paying respect to a military veteran. I mean, people who've never served in the military, Joe Kent's a loser. And I get it. Even I don't really respect military anymore. But this, and we're going to wait, this is only a minute left, and then I'll close it after this. But it goes back to what I'm saying. You're going to see that America, one of the reasons that it falls apart is I want you to ask yourself, what kept us together? We might have had reasons what kept us together 50 years ago. There's only one reason we're together right now. It's money. As long as people make the money and that's it, that's not stability. It's going to get worse. It's going to fall. Let's just finish this real quick and I'll end it.
Certainly never been called a Trump traitor before. I'm as MAGA as it gets. I hosted War Room when Steve Bannon went to prison. So it's interesting to see the people turn rather quickly. Just because President Trump says something doesn't make it right.
If we had just done nothing, I can't imagine what would have happened. How many more citizens they would kill, or how close they could.
Conscious supporters of President Trump.
One second. I got to just do this. We'll end it here. Who really cares about people in Iran? No offense. I've had actually some relationships when I was stationed in the U.S. Army in Germany. I was actually dating shortly a girl from Tehran, Iran. I thought it was weird, but Europe's different, a lot of immigration. But the point being is, remember Iraqi freedom? What do I think about people in Iraq, their freedom? I mean, think about your freedoms in America. How are freedoms, freedom of speech? You still hear these bozos in the military like Afghanistan. We have to save the women in Afghanistan. They're not allowed to go to school, Sharia law. Don't really care that much. I mean, we could go on, but I say again, it's like it's the weirdest thing. You have American citizens and you could have a military veteran in America, homeless. He's like, can you help me? And people are more worried about people in Iran, their freedom. I think they're doing fine. Maybe not. Maybe they'll have a revolution. They don't need our help. But it just comes back. If we're going to be America first, it's probably time to think of all the taxpayer money on this war that's being spent. It's ridiculous. It's mind-boggling. But anyway, some people are really retarded, and some people are like, well, we have to do this because they're a threat, or it's all about freedom, whatever the hell that means. And I don't think you're going to change people's minds. So we're going to wrap it like this. 3 things we said. 1, MAGA's going to split. It's going to split. We already saw this in a positive way. Donald Trump split the Republican Party with the rhinos and MAGA. Good for him. It's going to split again. But, and the Iran war is going to fail. Do you not believe me? I don't know. Do you consider Iraq and Afghanistan a victory? If you consider Iraq and Afghanistan a victory, I don't want to see what failure is. So we're not very good. It's going to fail again. And then 3rd, collapse. And what do I mean by that? You keep this going. And what's going to happen is sooner or later, I keep saying, people in MAGA are going to realize that they're in a place between a hard place and a rock and this and that. Who do we vote for? Until 2 things are going to happen. 1, they're going to leave America, or they're going to give up totally on federal national politics. We're talking Washington, D.C. And then you're going to see real leadership come. It's going to be, you're going to want split. You're going to start seeing state politics where people are just going to give up on Washington, D.C. And it's going to coincide with 2 things. State politics, where you're going to get really strong governors who talk about secession and a tax revolt. Because the only way you're really going to fix this problem with your tax money being fraud, waste, and abuse, whether it's Minneapolis with the Somalis, whether it's in the wars with Iran, or what J.D. Vance and the Doge doing some auditing, the only way is you stop paying your taxes. But you can't do that unless you leave America or you're going to be in the future, they're going to be state politics where you're going to start seeing it's going to happen. Once one governor comes into play, it's going to be a chain effect where they say, we are not paying taxes. The state of Texas, we're going to succeed. And it's going to be dangerous. There's going to be guns and ammo on this because as much you want to do a non-violent separation, the American government's not going to allow it. But that's when people are going to be on board and say, dude, I'm moving to Texas. It's going wild. The Texas National Guard, Texas police, the Texas governor, they're talking about secession. And we are not going to have to pay federal taxes anymore. Wow, that sounds a lot like the Boston Tea Party of the Revolutionary War with England. Taxes, war, taxes, war. Do you see where it comes from? But until it gets there, I think most Americans are like, who do I vote for? And I think that's where Donald Trump knows he's got you by the balls. Who are you going to vote for if you're not satisfied with Donald Trump? None. You're going to end up voting for him, which I understand until you finally say, I'm leaving America or I'm leaving the federal government, meaning I don't care about America first. America first is a day late and a dollar short. It's state first. And you're going to say, I am Texas first. And you're going to say to the Texas governor, it is time for you to put the great state of Texas first and America second. You're going to start seeing that because it's going to be when the collapse happens. Don't believe me? Give it time. I see some points. Tin Mall, yeah, the MAGA people have raised them. It's turned into a bit of a cult. And like I said, part of leadership is try not to get focused on following the person, follow the principles. Follow the principles. And I still like Donald Trump. But man, that guy is deviating. And when he deviates away from your principles, you got to call a spade a spade. But I think what Joe Kent did, unless I'm missing information, very impressive. Very, very impressive. He did the right thing. And that doesn't happen much. David Baumblatt from Terrabinth Leadership to the Patriots. I appreciate your support. Lead to victory.